Only in China could a line like this be born. The Temple of Heaven, the Forbidden City, the Drum Tower, the Bell Tower, and many other famous ancient structures are arranged longitudinally here, forming a grand axis that stretches 7.8 kilometers. From this, the ancient capital of Beijing unfolds in perfect symmetry. Major landmarks like Tiananmen, the Great Hall of the People, and the Monument to the People's Heroes also appear in succession. And countless stirring, proud moments in China's history have unfolded symmetrically along this very line. This is the Beijing Central Axis, the newest addition to China's list of World Cultural Heritage Sites. You may not be familiar with this axis, but nearly every structure along it is known to almost everyone in China. So why is the line that connects them all so important? As we deconstruct the Beijing Central Axis, what will we truly find? In this video, using the latest in gaming technology, we've partnered with the Beijing Central Axis World Heritage Application Office and the Beijing Municipal Cultural Heritage Bureau to try and answer that very question. But first, let's journey through time and space to witness a crucial passing of the torch between dynasties. This is Zhu, the third emperor of the Ming Dynasty. He ascended the throne in the year 1420. 18 years later, he would make the most impactful decision of his life, to move the capital to Beijing. It seemed like a rather impulsive decision, although Kublai Khan, the founder of the Yuan dynasty, had already established his capital here before Zhu's time. From the perspective of the Ming dynasty's territory at the time, Beijing was far too north. So, did Zhu make the right call? Let's re-examine his choice from a broader perspective. While Beijing is situated at the northernmost tip of the North China Plain, it's embraced by mountains and rivers, making its location ideal. To the southeast lies an open, flat alluvial plain that faces the Bahai Sea. To the northwest, the Yan and Taihang Mountains form a natural barrier, placing it right at the crossroads of nomadic and agrarian civilizations. From here, one could control the northern grasslands while also commanding the southern plains. It wasn't just Zhu, emperors from the Liao, Jin, Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties also chose Beijing as their capital. But simply choosing the location for the capital was not nearly enough. For these emperors, it was crucial to convey a vital concept to their people. The kings of old chose the center of the world to found their state, the center of the state to build their palace, and the center of the palace to erect their ancestral temple. This principle is known as honoring the center. To further showcase their power and status, emperors for millennia have made the same choice, to build a line in unparalleled central axis. And so, from ancient sites like Nanzhou Odu in Gansu and Erlitou in Hunan, the concept of a central axis began to emerge. In the Rites of Zhou, the ancients envisioned an ideal capital with a central axis running through its very heart. From then on, this concept was applied in cities like Yecheng of the Kawei Kingdom, ancient capitals like Luoyang of the Northern Wei, Chang'an of the Sui and Tang, and Kaifeng of the Northern Song all put the concept of a central axis into practice. But for the emperors, who made Beijing their capital, the central axes they constructed would continually surpass previous dynasties in scale and layout. Under the direction of Kublai Khan, the first emperor of the Yuan dynasty, a central axis nearly 4 kilometers long was born in Beijing. Then, during the Ming dynasty, the Yongle Emperor Zhu continued to transform and expand the city of Beijing, extending the central axis by another kilometer. A century later, the Zhu Emperor built Beijing's outer city, extending the central axis south by another 2 kilometers. 200 years later, the Qing dynasty emperors further enriched the city and its central axis, with the Qianlong Emperor in particular building the 5-directional pavilions on Jingshan or Prospect Hill, which overlooked the capital. This became the highest point on the central axis. In this way, they collectively created the pinnacle of all of China's historical central axes, the Beijing Central Axis. Let's travel its entire length From north to south, we pass the bell and drum towers, Wanning Bridge, Jingshan, the Forbidden City, the Imperial Ancestral Temple, Guanmen, and the Altar of Land and Grain, Tiananmen, Zhangyangmen, the Temple of Heaven, the Altar of Agriculture, and Yangdingmen. It can be called the most ideal masterpiece of order in a Chinese capital city. But completing this masterpiece not only required the support of emperors, but also the divine craftsmanship of master artisans who could bring the central axis to life. This is the 13th century. At this moment, Kublai Khan is selecting a site for his capital. It was an unprecedented construction plan, and the man who helped him realize it was Liu Bingzhong. Although it was an incredibly complex systems engineering project, they both knew the key was to first establish a line, a central axis befitting the emperor's supreme status. With extraordinary imagination, Liu Bingzhong incorporated a vast body of water entirely within the city, an area so large it encompassed today's Jishuitan area. He then designated the eastern corner of this body of water as the central point of the entire city, and from there, extended a line southward to determine the position of the central axis. Then, from the central axis, he enclosed the body of water to the west, establishing the position of the western city wall, and then symmetrically laid out the eastern city wall, thereby defining the width of the entire capital. This was the original central axis and city of Beijing, but the axis is far more than just simple symmetry. Let's look at it from a different perspective and deconstruct it. If we use a straight line of 500 zhang as a ruler, placing it on the central axis of the inner city would divide it into exactly 3 equal parts, and this kilometer scale length would define 3 distinct functional zones: the front court area, the palace garden area, and the rear court area. Now, let's focus our view on the Forbidden City in the middle. If we extract it as a 100-meter scale rectangle, and then arrange it in a 7x7 grid, we get the exact size of Beijing's inner city. If we zoom in a bit closer, and fill the Forbidden City with straight lines spaced 10 zhang apart, you'll discover that its courtyards, both large and small, are arranged at intervals of 50 zhang, 70 zhang, and 90 zhang. This 10-meter scale governs the layout of the architectural clusters inside the Forbidden City. Can we look even closer? Of course, we can. This is the drum tower beneath its eaves. We can see densely arranged interlocking brackets known as dugong. At the very bottom layer of the dugong, there is a unit of measurement called the dakou. You can find traces of it in all the various buildings along the central axis. Their lengths vary from a few centimeters to over 10 centimeters. And not only do they serve as the basic unit for the dimensions of every component in a building, but they also determine the building's rank, thereby ensuring the structures on the central axis are arranged in a strict, orderly fashion. So now, on the central axis, we've seen measurements on the kilometer, 100-meter, 10-meter, and even centimeter scale. But there's so much more to them than that. Along the central axis, they also exist in various forms like magic ratios, compositions, and variations, allowing Beijing to transcend being just a single, standout masterpiece, and instead form a majestic and dynamic architectural ensemble. Just as Mr. Yang Sikang said, Beijing's unique and magnificent order was born from the establishment of this central axis. And behind this order are Liu Bingzhong, Ruan and Hui Xiang, the Lin family of architects, and countless unnamed master craftsmen who, with their ingenuity and wisdom, completed this symphony of space and time. The people who appear next, though not as dazzling as those emperors and master builders, are the ones who give the Beijing central axis its true, lasting vitality to countless brilliant fireworks of human life. What you just heard are the morning bells and evening drums that residents here have listened to every day for hundreds of years. If you were to look out from the drum tower during the Yuan dynasty, you wouldn't just see the brightly lit tea houses and restaurants, but also the bustling Jishuitan Lake teeming with merchants. This very place was the northern terminus of the Beijing-Hangzhou Grand Canal. A dazzling array of Chinese and foreign goods flowed continuously into Beijing from the area around the Bell and Rome Towers. If you were lucky, you might even see a European traveler exploring here. Faced with such a prosperous capital, he couldn't help but exclaim that the abundance of goods flowing in was like a never-ending river. Meanwhile, in the southern part of the city, the streets were lined with shops and packed with theaters. This is where many famous Peking opera masters and classic plays made their debut. Peking opera master Mi Lan Feng, Hangzhou opera queen Din Fengsha, and the great master of crosstalk Ho Beilin all performed here. All kinds of artists set up their stages and performed on the streets. It was a place that truly welcomed people from all walks of life, with every kind of performance, craft, and food imaginable. And today, new generations of people continue to converge and overlap along the Central Axis, carrying the torch forward. If you come to the Central Axis now, you'll find that people from all over China and all over the world are its even more brilliant, vibrant pulse of life. Goods, cuisine, and music from all over the world, along with sports and art, are all converging here in ever more rich and diverse forms. The development of new technology has also brought with it many new possibilities. In this video, many of the scenes you see come from the digital Central Axis metaverse created by Tencent Games. Through high-definition photogrammetry, game engines, and cloud gaming technology, it allows us to travel through time and space, to walk through the history and stories of the Central Axis. There, you can see its sunrises and sunsets, its changing seasons, every brick and tile, every blade of grass and tree. Its magnificent scale and its intricate beauty are all right before your eyes, for you to experience and touch. As one scholar put it, no other nation has ever cherished and yearned for a Central Axis of symmetry so deeply. Because for the Chinese people, it has long been more than just a line, but an unparalleled collective creation upon this ancient land. The ideals of past sages, the decisions of emperors and generals, the wisdom of master artisans, the daily lives of hundreds of millions, and the convergence of technological power have allowed it to transcend 5,000 years of Chinese history, forging China's greatest link between civilizations, a connection